Hello and welcome to the Fintech podcast by Fintech Magazine Africa. I'm your host, Queenet, and today we are diving into a crucial conversation on accelerating financial inclusion, empowering women through digital payment innovation. We are doing this in commemoration of the International Women's Day on March 8th. We would love to dedicate this section to celebrate International Women. And I and my beloved guest today will be diving into this topic. Despite the progress in financial services, millions of women in Nigeria and Africa remain financially excluded. Limited access to banking, digital payment solution, and financial literacy often hold women back from reaching their full economic potential. But technology is changing the game. And today, joining me to discuss is a powerhouse. Someone say powerhouse. Powerhouse of the financial sector. Ngova Ihembe. Sorry, I hope I got that right. Wanko, she is, when I say powerhouse, I mean powerhouse. She's the executive director of the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, NIBSS. Ngova is a strong advocate for financial inclusion. I'm so honored to be in the same space with her, even though it's digitally. I really respect her inputs, and she is a seasoned leader in Nigeria's financial ecosystem. Someone who is committed deeply in advancing the gender inclusion through digital inclusion. Ngova, it's such an honor to have you here. I am really, really thrilled to be here with you in the same space. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, and it's an honor to be here as well. So, thank you for the invitation to myself and to Nibs to participate
All
on today's.
right. Thank you very much. Once again, it's a privilege to have you here with us. Financial systems are not just about money. They are about empowering people. And this is one of my favorite quotes from Crystalline Georgia. I think she's one of the managing director for the International Monetary Funds. So hearing these questions, I heard these quotes when I was listening to one of her session a few days ago, and then I kept on thinking. Many people interact with digital banking daily, even without realizing the crucial responsibility that these bodies, such as the NIBSS, plays. For the audience listening and joining us from the various parts of Africa and Nigeria, can you break it down for our listeners? What exactly does the NIBSS do, and why is it such a key? Why are they a key player in the Nigerian financial space?
Okay, hi Queeneth again, and hello to all the viewers. So, Nibs is the backbone of Nigeria's payment infrastructure. We enable seamless, secure, and efficient transactions across the entire ecosystem. NIBS drives interoperability, we enhance digital payments, and we support inclusion by providing platforms that enable instant payments. So if you move money from one person to the other using your banking apps, chances are you've done it on one of the NIBS rails. We support and enable mobile banking. And something that we do every day is really supporting innovation, whether it's innovation from a payments perspective, it's collections perspective, or data services. And at NIBS, we like to think that our role is really pivotal in ensuring that there's trust, there's security, and there's efficiency in the ecosystem.
Well,
And we support
thank you.
payments in Nigeria, but we also work very closely with institutions across Africa to also support and drive their own interoperability.
All right. I think I was too excited, and I'm sure that our audience must be wondering How did this woman get so much knowledge? I mean, look at her speaking with so much confidence. Could you please introduce yourself to the audience so they can know who you are and then move it?
Well, I thought you'd done that already when you introduced me, but my name is Ngove Ihembe Wankwo. I work at NIBS as executive director, and I look after products and business development. I've been in the financial services sector now for over 25 years. Started my career at Citibank, and then I moved to Standard Chartered, where I spent most of my career, and then to Rand Merchant Bank, and finally pivoting into NIBS. Started my career in electronic banking and cash management many
Wow.
years ago, and throughout my career, I sort of moved from that into relationship management, corporate and investment banking, and now I've come full circle back into payments and digital services.
Wow, that's a lot. And in the midst of all of this, I just hear grit, I hear growth, I hear motivation. You inspire a lot of us still out there trying to find our foot and make an impact. Okay, according to the EFIN reports published in 2023, it says that Nigeria only has 35% of women have access to formal financial services compared to the 55% of men. How does this exactly impact women? I mean, imagine a woman running a small tailoring business in a rural community without access to digital payments. She's limited to cash transactions, making it harder for her to save because based on the day-to-day incomes she probably has to feed the family, cater for this. So we know how cash usually quickly flows away. So how is NIMS ensuring that more women like her are financially included?
So the EFINA report that you were referring to, they publish one every year, and we are also quite interested in what the report says, and we look at the data, particularly around the demographics around inclusion. And at NIBS, we recognize that inclusion is not just about access,
Excellent.
it's about meaningful participation, which is some of the things that you're speaking to. And so we've driven things like, so one of the reasons why BVN is so important is that it gives you a digital identity. And over the years, NIBS has really been at the forefront of ensuring that everybody is enrolled in BVN. And historically, you used to be able to get BVN only by walking into bank branches. But it was recognized across the ecosystem that there needed to be an enhancement to that. And so you now have agents who are able to enroll. And what that means for many women who ordinarily would not be able to go in bank branches, that they've got a um, closer point of contact to be able to get the digital identity that allows them to then interact. Now, one of the other things that the BVN does for you is for us at NIBS, there's a lot of data around payment services. And that data is leveraged by companies, whether it's to provide loans that are non-collateralized, and really to understand the users. And so what we're doing at NIBS is that in addition to, like I said, driving enrollment on the BVN, we are also working with fintechs and traditional banks to ensure that the solutions that they provide are accessible, they're affordable, and they're user-friendly, particularly for women in rural areas. We also work very closely with the regulator, the CBN, that's doing a lot of work around inclusion. And where we actively work with them to figure out what else can be done, what is the next step. We are fearlessly committed to inclusion every step of the way.
All right, thank you very much. When you said fearlessly, I just remembered what Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala said in one of her interviews of recently. She said, "Empowering women financially is not just the right thing to do; it is the smart thing to do. So why wouldn't you do it fearlessly?" Thanks to NIMS for doing it fearlessly and to ensuring that there's a lot of inclusion in this part of the world regarding the gender gap. So, we know that financial empowered women reinvest 90% of their income, at least based on research. It said that women reinvest more than our male counterparts, right? So my question is, how is NIMS accelerating action to ensure women are not left out behind in the digital space, in line with the International Women's Day theme, which says let's accelerate action. What strategy? How is NIMS accelerating the action? What strategies are they currently implementing to promote financial inclusion for women?
So you're spot on. A lot of data shows that when women are financially included and their participation is meaningful, it doesn't just benefit the woman and doesn't just benefit the family, it benefits the entire
Exactly.
community in which they operate. And so we recognize that. And what we are doing at NIBS to accelerate action is, like I said earlier, is we're deepening the partnership. So we work with more than 1,000 connecting entities. We ensure that they're all able to connect to each other, but also connecting to NIBS. And so we work with them to deepen our understanding of their own strategies and how they want to work and how we can make life a little easier for them. We are also in partnership with a number of institutions that have a gender lens. So that gender lens means that they're able to provide gender responsive solutions. We're also working to enhance digital literacy because we know that that's one of the
Very
areas
important.
that has created the gap in inclusion. And we're also advocating for policies that ensure that the products that are out there address the needs of women and are also fair and equitable. We believe that our impact should be sustainable and it should be long term. And one of the key things for us is that we don't just want women to be users, we want them to be active players. And we're doing all we can to support that.
Thank you very, very much. Genderless. This is really, really interesting because 70% of women led businesses in Nigeria operate in the informal sector. So while you were speaking, it just crossed my mind. Oftentimes, most often, they lack access to formal banking services. We all know that Nigeria is one of the countries that the men are leaders, right? And as a result, the women most times have the responsibilities of taking care of the family, the kids. So because of that, most women naturally result in wanting to run an informal business, such as being trading traders and all of that. So I remember speaking to a woman and she was sharing her struggles with her business growth because she couldn't afford loans or digital payment tools. um, how do digital payment system create new economic opportunities for Nigerian women currently? How is NIMS addressing this issue, and what solution are making the most impacts currently? Because you while you were speaking, you mentioned the gender lens, you mentioned some other strategies that you guys are currently implementing. But I would like you to speak more about this, especially to our audience who may be out there listening currently and wondering how these initiatives or strategies can directly impact their own lives. So, can you speak to this?
So what we've seen, what our data tells us, and what the everyday business that we do tells us is that digital payments are fantastic. They eliminate geographic barriers, so it makes it easier to reach um, a wider footprint of potential customers for many of the women who run either micro, small, or medium-sized businesses. It also reduces the reliance on cash, and that enhances security because the other thing is it's one thing to have cash and then to spend the cash on things, but there's also the very real risk that when you have cash, it could be stolen, it could be misplaced. So there is a risk that is attached with holding cash.
Yeah.
And so with digital payments, what we find is that entrepreneurs are now able to receive their payments seamlessly, safely, but even more importantly, it helps you to build a financial track record. What we had seen historically was that to access finance, you needed collateral, and many women didn't have that collateral. But what we find is in reality, when women take loans, they actually pay back. Women are excellent people to lend money
So,
to.
yeah,
But the institution lacked the ability to be able to score. Because to be able to provide a loan, you need to be able to assess your credit
credit
risk.
score, yeah.
And so when you interact digitally, whether it's you receiving money and paying out, many of the fintechs that we've seen, and even traditional banks now, are able to help you to generate almost a pro forma um, schedule of what your business looks like. So, from a size and scale of your business, they're able to see how much comes in, how much goes out. They're able to create a digital footprint for you. They're able to score you from a credit perspective. And then you're able to build that track record that enables you to then get
Access to
access to
loans,
finance
yeah.
and facilitate your growth.
All right. That's
So my key message to the women who are listening is please interact with digital finance. It's really important.
yeah, yeah. Because I remember during the cash issue few years ago where we did there was an issue in the cash flow in the system. So I remember a particular market woman when I went to buy something somewhere in the rural area in Nigeria, and she was like she doesn't trust digital payment, that I should give her cash. And I'm like, I have this money in my account right now. I want to transfer to you. And she was so firm that she doesn't want it. She's been a victim of fraud, and she doesn't want that. So now my next question would be, what are some key barriers preventing women from fully participating in Nigeria's digital financial ecosystem? And how is the names addressing these challenges? How is names tackling these concerns to build trust
Go ahead.
and to increase the adoption?
So I'd say barriers are things like digital literacy, which we already discussed to some extent on this call. Just an understanding of what it means to interact digitally. What are the options open to you? How safe are platforms? So that's a big barrier. There's also limited access to financial services. Historically, you've had to go into the traditional banks to access services. They may be far, they're only open from one
To
time to one
another,
time,
yeah.
which not necessarily match your other responsibilities. And of course, there are social and cultural constraints. Now, NIBS has tried to address some of these challenges in various ways. So the first one is the digital literacy initiatives. So we work within NIBS to create a lot of knowledge. We do a lot of programs, um, advising players across the industry of the kind of products that we have. We also discuss things like security as well. So it's not just about products, it's about keeping the ecosystem safe. We also work very closely with the CBN that runs a number of inclusion programs and initiatives. And there's a financial literacy week that the CBN organizes every year that we actively participate in. As part of our International Women's Day celebrations as well over the years, we've also focused very heavily on literacy, whether it's for young girls or it's for women already in businesses. And so what we're doing is really trying to increase mobile payment penetration. We're also trying to make sure that we're advocating for policies that are inclusive. And we just keep taking it one day at a time. But like I said earlier, ensuring that we are committed to doing all we can to drive inclusion.
All right. That's really, really nice and that's interesting. My next question would be around the financial system. Melinda Gates said, we can't design financial system for women without including women in the design process. So, do you think
Yeah.
financial institutions are doing enough to develop services that caters to women's unique financial behavior and needs? I mean, every woman is more emotional and makes every decision based on their emotions, which includes their finances. So, do you think they are, when designing a financial system, they are considering the women, and how can financial inclusions leverage NIBS platform to develop a more or a gender focused products and services?
So I don't think that women are any more emotional than men. I think that that's a fallacy. Um, I don't think that's correct. We may show it more, but I don't think that we are any more emotional than men are. I also think, and I told you earlier, that the data actually shows that when women take loans, we pay back our
Yeah.
loans. We're excellent people to lend to. And I'll stop there. I won't say too much more because it's not a gender war. We want both, everyone to interact, both men and women. And you're right, we need more women at the table. We need more women as heads of businesses. We need more women in fintech roles. We need more women in STEM so that as the products themselves are being developed, um, we have people at the table who say, look, have you thought about this? This is what I see. That's why diversity and inclusion is very important. At NIBS, we have access to data. And when we work with whether it's traditional banks or it's fintechs, we're able to share our own insights into what can be done differently, what's missing, where do we see a gap, what can you do differently. And we work with a lot of institutions, like I say, we help them with their strategy, we help them to design products, we co-create products, and we are seeing increasingly that, because lending to women, it's not about being altruistic. It's good business. And we see lots of institutions actually driving that actively because they see that it's good business. It's not about them just giving back, it's about them also growing value for their own shareholders. And so we work with them to create that value by providing access to as many of our platforms as products as they need. And what we see so far is they continue to do it because they're seeing the returns on their business.
All right. Okay. 50% of Nigerian women own a mobile phone, but only 16% use mobile banking services. So there is clearly a gap between
Yeah.
mobile phone ownership and digital financial usage. What role is technology playing in closing this gap? What role does technology play in accelerating financial inclusion for women, particularly in rural or unserved areas?
So, I mean, the first thing is that the data is actively tracked. So, you reference the EFINA report, and I can tell you that everybody across the ecosystem looks at that data and actively seeks to ensure that the needle is moving in the right direction and increasing inclusion. Um, in terms of again, I think it's really around understanding what is hindering participation. And we talked about it earlier that the first thing that we see is literacy. So, how can we get more people to understand and to interact? The second thing is what's in it for them? When they come into the ecosystem, what benefit do they derive? And so that's why we try to ensure that the services that we provide are provided on a scale to the extent that they're cheaper alternatives. So cash has been king for so long. Traditional payment models over the years, where that you would need to have a POS machine, for example, Many micro businesses cannot afford that. So one of the things that NIPS has done is we've launched QR payment, so you can pay using a
QR
QR
code.
code. Doesn't require expensive hardware. It's also relatively cheaper than if you were to use the other methods of payment. And we've been actively driving that method over the last 2 years. This year, it's a big focus area for us. We're doing market storms. We're working with various fintechs. So you hear a lot more about that. And I think that that is a tangible way that we're ensuring that women in small businesses can digitize their collections process without it costing them too much.
All right. That's beautiful to know. I mean, payment through QR code. That's really really nice. So I recently read about women farmers in the northern part of Nigeria using digital wallets to receive payments for their crops without needing a physical bank. I think that was Momo. I'm not sure, but I remember that I read something about that article. So my question now is: are there other success stories that stand out? So in case one of our audiences is listening and is like, oh, these things they easier said than done, let's can you bring it home like, oh, we actually did this, these are the for the QR code payments, these are people that are currently using these initiatives, these are the beneficiaries that we have, these are some posts or articles that we have published. So can you provide examples of initiative payment solution that have positively impacted women-led businesses in Nigeria?
So we've spoken already about QR codes, and it's been around for about 2.5 years, and we have more than 5 million merchants,
Wow.
of which a good proportion are women. We also launched the Afrigo card, which you might have seen press around. We're working closely with NIMSI so that we can generate a payment and identity card that allows you to receive and make payments. So that's another very tangible way. We work with a number of fintechs, and quite a number of the fintechs that we work with are providing mobile wallet solutions in underserved areas. Some of the fintechs that we work with are predominantly focused on those areas because that was the mandate that they had to drive inclusion. So they're not necessarily focused only in the cities, they've gone into the rural areas. The Afrigo card, for example, we are pioneering an offline card, which will mean that you don't necessarily need to have data connectivity to be able to pay with your card. And that is because we recognize that there are areas of the country that perhaps don't have as good data network as others. So these are some of the tangible examples. We continue to work, and if there are any sort of fintechs that are looking at developing new products, we're very happy to co-create and work with them.
All right. While you were speaking, um, actually, I was going to ask on the how NIBS collaborates with financial fintech um, fintech services providers and all of that, and banks as well. So, but I like the fact that you delved into that a little bit. But I would like you to shed more light on um how NIMS is working with the fintechs and banks. Like, how can this collaboration be done? For instance, if there is a founder listening currently and is in the fintech space and is wondering, am I actually benefiting from this, or how can I earn more, or how can this interaction profit my organization, and how do I go about it? So how is NIMS collaborating with fintechs and other stakeholders to drive inclusive digital payment solution?
So one of the founding beliefs that we have at NIBS is that collaboration is key. That's really why we were set up. We're set up to ensure that the ecosystem was able to collaborate with each other. And so we're the backbone of that through interoperability. We provide infrastructure and we provide the platforms so that fintechs are able to run their businesses. But what we also do that I think is quite novel and is exciting is that we do something called our demo days. So we get fintechs to work with us on various initiatives. So we've done a direct debit demo day, we've done a QR demo day, where we work with them and say, look, what can you develop? So one of the founding beliefs that we have at NIBS is that collaboration is key. That's really why we were set up. We're set up to ensure that the ecosystem was able to collaborate with each other. And so we're the backbone of that through interoperability. We provide infrastructure and we provide the platforms so that fintechs are able to run their businesses. But what we also do that I think is quite novel and is exciting is that we do something called our demo days. So we get fintechs to work with us on various initiatives. So we've done a direct debit demo day, we've done a QR demo day, where we work with them and say, look, what can you develop around this particular solution? Consume it and then build your own product. And then we as NIBS will give you a platform to talk to the industry, to showcase what you built and the value that you bring, so that that brings you additional views, interests, and then we can, drive how well your product does and how well it reaches the last mile. Looks like we've lost the host, but we'll wait and see.
Sorry, everybody. We just have a little technical glitch. She's going to join us in a little while. Um,
Not
I
a
think
problem.
I'll pick up from where she stopped. Um,
Hmm.
that we're talking about collaborations between NIPS and FinTech. But I like us to talk. I, I like us to talk about security. With the increase in cyber fraud, what are the measures NIPS is taking to prevent women from being attacked or being victims of cyber fraud?
So I think the incidences affect both men and women, doesn't discriminate in terms of gender. And what the data actually tells us is not that there's an increase in fraud per se. It's just that the magnitude and the impact that the fraud has is bigger, because now we've moved away from sort of being able to take cash, which would have been big, heavy, you'd have needed a van to cut away, to it being done digitally. And it's not a peculiar situation with Nigeria. We see it across the world. With technology advancing the way it has advanced, we see that people are now able to perfect interesting ways to either scam people or penetrate various defenses that institutions have put up. So at NIBS, there are a number of things that we're doing. The first thing obviously is ensuring that ourselves at NIBS, where our platforms are safe and secure, and we are investing heavily in ensuring that we use up-to-date technology and our platforms are secure. We continue to be very watchful to ensure that we don't drop our guard. We also are ensuring that across the ecosystem, in the ways that they connect with us, it's also a safe and secure manner. We share information across the ecosystem, information around what we're seeing in terms of fraud trends and ways that institutions can protect themselves. We also share information around bad actors. So, who are the fraudsters, and what can we do within the remit of the guidelines and regulations around BVN, whether it's watch listing or blacklisting BVNs to keep them out of the system. And then, the other thing that we do is NIBS has with the industry fraud desk sits inside NIBS, and we have a tool called Hawk that sits on top of our platform. And Hawk is able to monitor transactions that are happening and flag suspicious transactions. And institutions are able to then get that information and act on it. So those are some of the things that NIBS continues to do.
All right, interesting. Thank you so much for that. And sorry about the technical issues.
It happens.
Thank you for understanding. All right. I My next question would be: are there mentorship or capacity building programs that NIMS is involved in to support youth, women in the finance and technology areas? Many young women want to build careers in fintech and the digital banking, but they don't know where to start from. So, what opportunities exist for them through NIMS?
So there are a number of industry-wide initiatives. There's the Fintech Association of Nigeria, and it runs quite a number of initiatives. There's an amazing Fintech Week that it runs every single year, which I would encourage every woman who is thinking of coming to the sector or is already in the sector to ensure that they attend
You
and they're
attend?
visible and they have meaningful
Sure.
conversations, please. Um, and then we also at NIBS are always available to mentor. Like I said,
Sorry.
one of the things that we strongly believe in is collaboration and co-creation. So we actively work. We also have seen a number of, female-owned businesses gain licenses, whether microfinance banks or fintechs. And we're always very excited to see them come on board. We ensure that they're able to connect into our platforms, and we're able to provide the services and platforms that we already have to them.
All right. Just before the technical glitch, you mentioned, and it's very obvious that you are data driven. You track the datas, and you know your numbers. So my question is, how does NIMS track the impact of its initiative? I know you keep mentioning references to the numbers and this report. So how do they do it? Like, measuring this progress is just as important as making the progress itself, right? So how did you do it over the last through over this period that you've been with NIMS? How is it done? Can you give us more light on that?
So we analyze transaction trends. So we get data by the second, by the millisecond, because every payment, the payments on our instant payment platform literally happen in milliseconds, not even seconds. So we analyze that data. We've got a team that does it, and we're able to get reports around it. We're also able to track things like digital identity adoption rates, because we can see the demographic data that tells us, who is enrolling, where are they situated, what demographic, what gender are they, what age bracket are they. So we can get all that data, and we do get that data. And then more importantly, we get feedback. We get feedback from the financial services providers that enables us to measure our progress. We know when we're doing well. We know when we need to tweak things here and there. We know where things, where perhaps people have had challenges connecting. We take it back and we refine. And it helps us to refine our strategy, refine our platforms. We're always rebuilding and refining what we put out into the market.
Right, that's good to know, and it's really, really amazing and interesting. The future of finance is digital, and the future of digital is inclusive. So, looking ahead, what are NIM's key measures to accelerate financial inclusion for women in Nigeria? I know you speak to this a little earlier, but I can see that we have more numbers in terms of our audience. So could you just reiterate what are the key things we have been doing in NIMS?
Okay, so there are three key things as we see them. The first one is enhancing digital literacy, because people, both men and women, but more importantly, women who are disproportionately excluded, need to understand more what is available to them. So that for us is critical, is key. The second thing is how can we improve access to credit for female entrepreneurs? And to do that, it's about ensuring that the platforms that we provide, the fintechs and institutions that then provide that lending, enable them to make the right decisions. And then the third thing that we do is strengthening our partnerships. I've spoken a lot around how collaboration for us is really the backbone of everything that we do. So it's about strengthening those
Mm-hmm.
partnerships, um, and ensuring that there is a gender responsiveness to the solutions that are put out there. And I think those three things are underpinned by a very good relationship with the regulator, so that we're in step with their own um, focus areas and the gaps that they see in the market. And then the other thing that underpins it for us is ensuring that we listen, we get feedback from the market, from players, to see where things need to be tweaked here and there.
Wow, wow, wow. Having this conversation with you today just keeps reminding me of what my grandma always says. She likes saying in our local dialect that if you empower a woman, you empower a nation. So what's one action step banks, fintech, and policies makers should take immediately to support women's financial inclusion in Nigeria?
Oh gosh, one.
You can cover
Um,
that one. I just so that's the way I could phrase the question. But what advice would you give to the financial institutions and policymakers generally? You could speak to more than one. We have enough time.
so I think you have to have a gender lens. It's critical. In fact, I think so. I mean, obviously, gender equity is something that's very dear to my heart. But I also think that diversity is very critical. Whether it's women, whether it's youth, you've got to have a lens that says that not everybody is the same. And as you design your products, as you look at people who use your products, you've got to always have that back of your mind. What are the demographics? What can I do differently? What is peculiar? So I talked earlier about BVN enrollment, and we still see it in certain communities where if you expect the women to come out to come and get enrolled, then you're already excluding them because they won't. So when you know that, it's then how do I design a process or a product that makes it easier for women to actively participate? Okay. And then the other thing is to leverage data to create inclusive solutions. That kind of dovetails from the first thing I said. We have a lot of data, whether it's NIBS, whether it's companies, whether it's across the nation. Do we look at that data and do we ask ourselves interesting questions like, what does the data tell us? What's missing in this data? Who is not here? And why? And then we have to prioritize partnerships. Collaboration is, I think, is the bedrock of any sustainable society. It's great to compete, but it's even better to collaborate.
Mm,
I think the market is wide
exactly.
and it's deep. So there is no reason not to collaborate because everybody will get a share of the pie. But if you look at partnerships, we've seen in sort of countries like India, one of the ways that they've really been able to, in a short space of time, close the inclusion gap has been because there's been a very strong a partnership between the regulator, between the switch, within the fintechs, and within the financial institutions. They all work together because there'll always be gaps
Mm,
and you need people to fill in the various gaps. So I think for me, if I had to say the one thing, it would be please, please, please collaborate. Collaborate with the regulator. People always look a little bit askew when I say collaborate with the regulator because that's what regulators are there for. They're not just there to wrap us out across the knuckles. They see things from an interesting perspective. We have to be able to go to them, to talk to them, to share our experiences, to understand their own priorities and build that into whatever products and services that we are providing.
yeah, collaboration is really, really important, and it's something that we are currently lacking in Nigeria. I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. So, for the women listening to this and might
Mhm.
feel digital finance is not for them, what's your message to them um, as we try to call it a wrap?
Digital finance is very much important to everyone, but to I think women in particular. Women are often time poor. So we're doing a number of things on the go. We cannot therefore rely on brick and mortar. We need digital because it allows us to do things that in our own convenience. So I think that's critical. The second thing is that a digital footprint across financial services allows you to build a good track record of your business, where perhaps you may not have other forms of collateral or other ways that give comfort to lenders. So it's important that you're able to say, this is how much I've done over the last 6 months, over 1 month, this is my typical turnover, this is the size of my business. And it's a lot easier to do
Mm.
that when you interact digitally. I think the other thing that digital finance does is that it expands your market. So whereas you may have only been able to sell within a small radius, if you were doing it physically, as we saw when we had the pandemic and we all stayed at home, it expanded people's markets. You've got people in Nigeria who are selling actively across Africa and across the world. And that's only been possible because there's been that expansion of access to your market, and people can pay you in ways that they might not have been able to do before if it was only cash. Now they can do transfers, they can do QRs, they can use cards. So I think that it's not an option. You have to interact.
All right, all right. Thank you very much, very, very much for that. I think you answered one of the questions we had regarding collaborations or strategies in place by names to allow payment across Africa. You already answered that. We have another question, and I think this personally for you. She says, "What is your favorite motivational quote?"
Oh gosh, there's so many. It's hard to pick one.
Okay, give
But
us
I
the top
think the one
three
that
because I'm also
I think
interested.
the one that resonates most with me is the one that says, if you want to go
Wow.
uh, far, you know, you need to go with people. And I think I'm paraphrasing it, but essentially, we tend to think that if I'm going to reach my destination, I need to go on my own and go
Mm.
as fast as I can. But really, the more you have people, it takes a tribe, and it really does take a tribe to really make that destination a reality. So that would be my favorite quote.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ngova. It's been an awesome section. This has been an incredible and insightful conversation. We've explored how digital banking are unlocking new opportunities for women and the challenges that remain and the solution that can drive real change. Thank you so much for your expertise and your passion. We appreciate what you're doing in the fintech, in the financial industry in Nigeria, in Africa at large. And I personally am looking up to you, and I'll keep reaching out and keep learning more from you. Thank you for tuning in. Um, if you found this, so this is for the audience. Thank you very much, Ngova. All right. In
Thank you. My
collaboration,
pleasure.
in
Oh,
collaboration,
we forgot the most important
exactly.
thing we're supposed to do today.
In
Yeah.
collaboration,
Yeah.
um, um, in commemoration of the International Women's Day, let's do the sign accelerating financial inclusion. Let's do it together.
To accelerate
Accelerate
action.
action. Let's do it together. All right. Thank you so much. And to our amazing audience. I mean, this podcast will be nothing without you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you very much. We celebrate you especially. If you found this conversation valuable, interesting, feel free to subscribe to Fintech Podcast, and you can turn on your notification for other live sections and insightful sections such as this. This podcast is proudly sponsored by the Fintech Magazine Africa. For more discussion on the future of financial technology in Africa and in the globe, see you next time. I remain your host, Queenette. Keep innovating and empowering yourselves. Bye. Thank you.
Good morning, financial inclusion enthusiasts around the world. You're welcome again to your special program, FinTech Magazine Production, FinTech Africa Podcast. My name is Ajit Mobi Olumayowa, popularly called Olu. I will be your anchor this morning. Today, we have a special guest with us, a special guest indeed from Lapo Microfinance Bank. Dr. Thorpe is the head of strategy and transformation at Lapo Microfinance Bank. Uh, Dorcas, good morning. We're glad to have you this morning.
Good morning, Olu. Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you very much. Let me just give you a brief background to Mrs. Dorcas Thorpe. Dorcas is a dynamic and visionary leader with over a decade of experience driving transformative change and organizational growth in Nigeria's financial service sector. As the head of strategy and transformation at Lapo Microfinance Bank Limited, she excels in strategic planning, project management, digital transformation, change management, and business analysis. Her innovative leadership has seen her pioneer the establishment of a project management office that revolutionized project execution and implement cutting-edge digital banking strategies, including the rollout of prepaid and debit cards, agency banking, and branchless banking platform that expanded customer access and boosted operational efficiency, contributing a remarkable 355% profit increase in a single year. A dedicated professional with a strong academic foundation, Doka has holds a Bachelor of Science in Information Technology and Network and a Master of Science in Computer and Information Network from Middlesex University and University of Essex, United Kingdom, respectively. She's a certified She's a certified member of the Chartered Institute of Bankers, MCIB, and an associate of the Chartered Institute of Customer Relationship Management, ACIRM, and has further earned leadership skills through, excuse me, and has further earned her leadership skills through the Advanced Management Program
at the Lagos Business School and IESC University, Spain. Beyond her primary role, she serves on the boards of over 10 companies spanning technology, insurance, health, and education, including a foundation and volunteers as lead of the partnership team at TEDx Lagos, where she continues to champion innovative ideas and community growth. That's a very good background and a very good way to have this program for today started. Ms. Dorcas, without wasting more time, we'd like to start asking you relevant questions so that you can share with us um, your expertise and what you have done with LAPO. Um, the first question I'm going to ask you this morning is please give us an overview of LAPO Microfinance Bank and its mission in promoting financial inclusion, especially for women.
All right. Thank you once again, Olu, for having me. This is a laudable event and platform to share. I'm deeply grateful. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Um, all right. So, I'd like to start by saying that LAPO is an acronym for Lift Above Poverty Organization. And in that name already, it's clear what our vision has always been, right, to help alleviate poverty. And we have found, ways or strategies to do that, especially working with women. So LAPO started in the late 1980s, I think about 88, 89, by the founder, Dr. Godwin Ehikiamusoy, who at that time was really a young chap, very passionate and interested in solving, large scale or big scale problems. And the problem was really about, increase in poverty and, inequality, which was a result of the structural adjustment program, SAP, that was implemented in around that time, 1986 or so. So that effect on the economy, the scale in poverty, and then the deep hit on women and children, of course, led him to, create this. So he's a social entrepreneur, but back then he was just someone who was interested. And he founded Lapo by actually giving 300 naira, which is 100 naira each to three women. So that's how Lapo came about, giving 100 naira loans to three women in the then Bendel state, in Ogwashuku, and saw how they utilized the funds and how they paid back gradually. And so that's how Lapo started to provide financial support to women who were already economically active. So Lapo has grown from where it started as an NGO to then fund a microfinance institution. So Lapo, as a microfinance bank, was licensed as a state MFB in 2010 and then became a national MFB in 2012. We provide all of these services through our branch network of over 500 branches. We've served more than 6.4 million customers, of which 65% of that are women, or more than 65 actually, are women. We've done this for over 30 years, like I said. So the vision and the mission for us is to improve lives. And how do we do that? It's the provision of innovative, cutting edge financial products and services for female entrepreneurs and also in male in general, men and women as well. So that's what we've been doing, and that's the overview. We're very passionate about this, improving, financial inclusion, access to finance, and other services that will help elevate poverty in the country.
Thank you very much for that. I'll still ask for the question on LAPO, actually.
Sure.
I'd like to know what inspired LAPO's focus on empowering women through microfinance solutions.
So two things really. The fact that in most or any society or economy, women and children are the most vulnerable. right? So for us, or for him at that time, he understood that and knew that when you support women, you are, supporting their families, you're supporting the community and also the nation at large. The second thing is the fact that, women are also very enterprising. Maybe because of the nurturing nature of women, we tend to think deeply about the survival and sustainability of the family. We're more involved in, what the children would eat, what schools would they go to, education, and a lot of other things. Health matters, and so they're more enterprising to find ways to support their families, right? And so those two things really have motivated us, have strengthened our resolve to work closely with women in building them up in terms of their economic activities, in terms of attaining financial independence, so they're able to both do the immediate needs, but also look at larger problems, in the society. So those two things have driven our focus on women, and over the years, with the work we've done with women, we've seen that they're also better at utilizing funds in terms of loans, right? And they have better repayment history as well. So we will always, continue to do that because supporting them and empowering them has diverse impact on the economy at large.
Thank you. Well, I want to say Happy International Women's Month.
Thank you.
I intentionally waited to this time before I say that because we are just getting a deep dive into the topic of today. And the topic of today is actually breaking barriers, building futures, accelerating women's empowerment through inclusive microfinance solutions. And I know Lapo, from what you have said, has been taking a very good look and good initiatives and developing products to this effect. But let me ask you, how does Lapo's strategy align with this year International Women's Day theme? Let's accelerate action.
Yes, definitely action. Right. I mean, there have been so many conversations about this so far, whether it's gender equality, women empowerment, and every year when we celebrate IWD, there are many events, and we're sitting, we're discussing. But I think this year's focus is really on go beyond the talk. Talk is cheap. Can we take deeper actions to deepen women equality, women equity, and also empower women to be more financially independent, right? So for us at Lapo, this is what we've been doing. This is the core of what we do. But deeper in terms of strategy is then to deepen our focus with women groups. I think that that's what's important. So, like I mentioned, over 65% of our client base are women, and so there are generic products, that we have, but we're taking it, further to have programs that go beyond just providing access to finance for women. So, for us, access to finance would be, loans, right? But beyond just supporting that female entrepreneur with a loan for her business, what other services could we render to help her build structure, to help the business survive and thrive and last even generations? So we're having conversations. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, you're on. You're on. I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, okay. I, Thank you. I thought I saw network connection failure. All right. So we're going deeper, like I said, beyond just providing those products to then supporting and providing, advisory services, financial literacy programs, economic literacy programs, digital literacy programs as well. These are areas of support for their businesses to scale, because we've also seen that a lot of women are, especially in this target market, are comfortable, having that one small shop, right? I just have a store, I have a business, and that's it. What about scaling? And it's in scaling that you're able to even make larger impact. So we want to provide more support in terms of scaling, in terms of putting structures in place, and that will come from advisory services, training programs, even opening them up to other channels of funding beyond loans as well. So those are a few actions we're taking, and we're going to be working with more women groups to reach more women in the Nigerian market, and so we're taking action, and we're also encouraging others to also take action through partnerships as well.
Thank you very much. You actually went into product. Let's just take a little dive into innovative financial products or services Lapo has introduced to address the unique financial needs of women. Do you have special products targeted towards unique financial needs of women?
Yes. So I like to first state that I do not really think it's about the unique financial needs of women, right? It's about the unique ways that we provide financial services to women. Because I mean, a male and a female entrepreneur, you need finance, you need finance. There's nothing unique about that need, but it's how we provide the techniques or the measures that we use to reach women that's quite unique because of the barriers that are there, systemic barriers, and a lot of other challenges for women specifically. So what we've done beyond the general loan products, savings that we have, we designed one that we tagged supporting female entrepreneurs, SUFEN, and that's a loan product that has some distinct features. Even when it comes to pricing, is priced a bit lower than the conventional loans that would have. When it comes to requirements like collateral and the likes, they we would rather than just strictly ask for things like landed properties for collateral, we're looking at movable assets for that segment. So in terms of that, we've done that. We've also designed savings product that meet specific needs. For example, the My Pikin and I savings product that we developed has additional benefits to you saving over a period of time. So you should target save, and then you gain access first because. Okay, let me just come back a bit. So my Pikin and I, in Nigeria, it's slang for my child and I. So that is majorly for women to save for their children. And once you start saving for your child, after 3 months, saving a certain amount, you then gain access to a 1 year free health insurance for that child. Then, after 6 months, going further as well, your that child is then selected or taken into our education scholarship scheme to go through that process and then get a scholarship. We did that because those are two areas of concern for women, their children, health, and then also education. And so that was an approach that we used to design the savings product for women. So I think those are a few things that we've done in terms of innovation and targeting how we serve and reach the women market.
Um, Interesting. You talked about women. We're going to ask questions regarding women in rural communities. And I would like to know how LAPO supports women in rural communities, especially those that lived in very, very underserved areas.
Right. So the approach we've always used is largely physical. And in terms of our over 7,000 workforce, about 60% of that, if not more, are actually field officers. And so we have them across the country. It would surprise you to know some communities that, you would find a LAPO in, places where there are probably no commercial banks, you would find a LAPO there. And so our staff strength in terms of our field officers were able to reach out, deeper into those communities, and we form groups. So the group methodology for us works really well, where then clusters, and we're serving them in a group. The leader of the group is one of them. The group meetings are held in the leader's house, usually, or the business location. And so, we're serving more women through those groups in those kind of communities. Of course, we've had women who never had bank accounts, and the LAPO is the only financial institution that they're engaging. So, in terms of serving underserved women or even excluded women, we're doing a lot of that across the country. We're in 34 states, or in Nigeria, that's just 34 out of 36, and so we're present almost everywhere. That's how we've reached out to women in those communities, and then also through clusters like I mentioned, we have also engaged a couple of trade associations and unions, as well market associations, to reach out to even more women in those communities. A last one to add is we also provide, some auxiliary services like health check programs for these women. We provide even legal aid advisory as well for women, even in those communities through our partnerships with NGOs, and that's a good one that we're doing.
Oh, thank you. I wouldn't like to leave this section without you telling us about some success stories that can come out from all these initiatives you talked about. Can we have one or two success stories you can quickly share with us?
Yes, I mean there are thousands. There are thousands. I remember one of them, had an encounter with the founder at one of those, programs, group programs, and she, you know, with tears, just spoke to him and said, "Thank you for being our husband." In that sense, and this they represent women who, probably widows who lost every hope in terms of support for the family, and she was just very deeply grateful that Lapo came at that point of need. We've had women move from when they started with us, even over 20 years, collecting a 10,000 naira loan, which you could say are nano loans, right? And now they're accessing loans of 20 to 30 million. They've grown beyond one location. They've expanded to other locations. So we have thousands of such success stories. We have a couple of videos on our website, and I think hopefully we're able to even play some here today for you to see the real impact that we've had on female entrepreneurs at nano level, micro level, small and medium level, across. Yes, and there's one particular Mrs. Sakiratu Mahmood, and I mean she's a client of Lapo, had a thriving business, started with 10,000 naira, and has for over about 20 years or so have accessed more than 20 loans. She's taking over 30 million as we speak. She has expanded into having two water trucks. She has even gone into fashion. She's gone into charcoal sales business. So she's moved. She's a union leader as well, and so she's also supporting other women. And for us, that's good because she's an ambassador now, and so she's helping other women to also grow as she has through the support of Lapo.
It's quite interesting and encouraging. But let's move a little bit from that services. Let's actually talk about barriers to women's financial inclusion. I'd like to know, share your experience. What do you see as major barriers women face in accessing finance, and how is LAPO addressing these challenges?
All right. The first one I think is lack of awareness, right? That lack of awareness is a challenge because I mean they're not even aware that there are institutions, there are people who can support them with finance to grow their businesses. And that could, stem from systemic, issues in terms of gender inequality, the fact that, most women at that level probably didn't go to school and were not prioritized in terms of education and a couple of other things, right? So lack of awareness is and it's a barrier that we've seen for women. And of course, through our various sensitization programs, whether via webinars, on-site trainings, union meeting trainings, union council meetings, and all of that, we try to provide more insight, more information. And then through our marketing activities as well, we're able to provide more information in that sense. But beyond lack of information, to access finance, I think pricing is a challenge as well for women. that we've seen, even though they know and they go to financial institutions at different levels, whether formal and informal, the pricing of those products can be a limitation for them to access, those, to access finance. So we see pricing as a challenge. At Lapo, what we've done is to look for better sources of funding. Because I mean, for us to do what we do, we're also funded either through loans from the banks, grants, and a couple of, investments as well from both local and international partners. And so we are always seeking cheaper sources of funds so we can give even better rates to these women. And so far in Nigeria, Lapo has one of the lowest rates when it comes to loans as we speak. So in terms of pricing, we're trying to do some of that. We've worked with the likes of DBN in accessing some funds specifically for that segment, and they are cheaper in that sense. So that's number two. I guess other barriers could be requirements to access this funds, especially when it comes to providing collateral for bigger ticket loans. One of the things we've done that we've seen that women do not have that. Most women don't have those kind of collaterals to provide. And so for nano, micro, and small loans, we do not require collateral. We've gone through the guarantor model. So provide one or two guarantors, worthy guarantors, and then we're able to work with you, provide you, access to those funds. But for bigger ticket loans, we would require collateral, and we're finding ways around supporting women, even in that sense, because it's a business. There are risks to it, so we also need to be careful. But those are a few things that we've done to address the barriers that women currently face today in accessing finance.
Let's talk about how does LAPO ensure that women feel confident and equipped to manage their finances effectively? And do
Right.
you have targeted initiatives in place to improve financial literacy among women and girls?
Yes, we do. The first thing about, financial independence is the confidence that comes with it. And when you empower women, you're building confidence, you're supporting them through a journey, you're helping them gain confidence in themselves, in their ability to solve problems, both small scale and large scale, right? And what we've done so far in terms of providing funding for their businesses or providing trainings, helping them understand the rudiments of finance. So in terms of how you make more money, how you manage your money, how you multiply your money, savings, budgeting, all of those things are equipping these women to do better, to have better finance practices, to manage their funds, to multiply, to grow, and then to attain financial independence. So the end goal for us is not just the numbers of, okay, in terms of financial inclusion or exclusion and all, but it's to build people who are capable to solve problems, women who go beyond just their immediate needs to create value in the economy. And that's what we're doing. That's what we've done with all of the products and services we render. That's what we do with the various training programs, be it virtual, on-site trainings. That's what we do when we visit schools and we train young girls, especially on days like World Savings Day, Global Money Week, even the IWD celebration. We go out there, we train, we sensitize, we have programs to just provide more information about managing your finance, first as an individual and then for your business. We then also provide incentives as well for our female clients, incentives that encourage good behavior in terms of repayments, for example. But beyond that, just the fact that you've been here with us, you've grown over time, we provide some incentives to say thank you as well. So all of these things are, helping us really build confidence in women to know that they can do it, that gender is not it shouldn't be, or rather they shouldn't be limited by their gender in that sense. If you desire something, you want it, you can go for it, and then we're here to support you through that journey.
Thank you. I think we've covered the challenges or barriers to women financial inclusion. You are about the right person to talk to because we're going to talk about digital transformation and innovation in this segment of questions. And let me ask you, how is LAPO leveraging digital solutions to expand access to financial services for women?
Yeah, so our approach really is a phygital approach, and that's the physical and the digital. Because when you talk about the underserved communities, financial inclusion, supporting those at the bottom of the pyramid, a huge number of them rather, are not yet totally digitally savvy. So the approach wouldn't be to just go all digital. So we're having, the mix of or a hybrid approach to continue to expand with our physical, networks, and also leverage on, digital platforms. The fact that just recently we've launched our mobile banking solution, our mobile banking app. We've always had, debit cards for our clients. Clients are using debit cards to access their funds. We also launched our USSD platform, star 371 hash, for those who have feature phones to also access their accounts and do conduct their transactions. And those are a few that we have. Okay, yes, we also started agency banking. I mean, for several years, working with CBN, with EFINA, with SANEF, to roll out our agency network, where we can't reach with a LAPO branch, then a LAPO agent should provide the services in those locations. So agency banking is a strategy for our outreach, how we deepen that in the country today, and we're working very hard to grow that network. So we are very aware that to serve our customers better, to provide simple and easy access and experience for the clients, we have to leverage on technology. And for years we've been doing that. Yes, I can imagine that some person to deploy these platforms and solutions for our women. So it's a big deal. We're aware about it. We're already in it, and we're going to do even much more to deepen our reach in this country.
Interesting. Well, let me ask you this because you talked about digital products and what you're doing right there at Lapo. What role do you think mobile banking and fintech partnerships play in advancing Lapo's women-focused initiatives?
A very big role. Like I've mentioned, what we're doing now, you have to leverage on partnerships, right? So partnerships is a big way for us to grow right now. But in terms of mobile banking platforms, the fintechs, to reach out to women, it's a good strategy. It's important. So we're having mobile solutions and mobile apps that there. We're sensitizing women, to use them and just gain skill. One of the initiatives we recently redesigned is the SUFEN, and I mentioned that SUFEN is supporting female entrepreneurs. So beyond just being a loan product, we have relaunched SUFEN to be a program, an initiative for women. And that program or that community will run on mobile applications, whether it's as simple as WhatsApp today, or grow into a full-fledged mobile app community for women. Those are conversations that we started and we will continue to do. So it plays a big role. Access to women. I mean, no physical barrier. You're able to reach as many, and the fact that you have variations, right? So even though you may not have a smartphone, we can use USSD solutions to reach out to those who have feature phones, because we still have a lot of clients who have feature phones mostly. So it plays a big part in the future. of the kind of impact that we want to drive. I mentioned earlier we're just we're still less than 10 million customers, and there's still so much to do. And so that reach, that access will be driven by technology, and we're ready for it. So just watch out for us.
Lapo, we're watching out for you. Well, let me move a little way out of the digital services. Let me just ask you, is Lapo using data-driven insights to design solutions that better serve female entrepreneurs and small business owners?
Right. So I would say not anything fancy for now, because we're also in the process of developing our data analytics capabilities within the institution. And we've also recently just, had done a transformation in terms of the structure, org structure, positioning things, and functions to be able to deliver. So the data analytics team was still, building that team. So when I say not fancy, what we've done, always had really, is a research and market intelligence team who would conduct, surveys, both, at very small level and also large scale surveys, market research, to provide us insight with the behaviors of our existing customers and also what's happening in the market as well. So we've had some of those data and insights that are fueling our strategy in terms of client experience. How do we provide more support? Our processes, how do we improve those processes to provide products and services in better manners? So client experience conversations are coming out from those insights. Product development conversations are coming out of those insights. We've also, from those insights, broken down our process into sectors. So we want to be very sector led in the coming years. A few sectors have been identified as where we want to deepen our reach. For example, agriculture, education, services, trade and commerce, even the creatives as well. So those sectors are very big for us. Clean and renewable energy, as well as the public sector in terms of payday lending. So those are a few sectors, and those insights came from researches that we've always done. But again, like I mentioned, we're still developing strong capabilities with our data analytics team that can then churn out more insights from the data that exists and also data that's available.
Thank you for that information. It's quite useful. We have a question from one of our viewers, Elijah Maker. Sorry if
Okay.
I pronounce your name wrongly. The question is your strategy taking into consideration the Muslim community um, that is taken into consideration Islamic finance, or is it solely concerned with the classical banking and financial institution? I don't know if you have answer to that, Dorcas.
Yes, so I do, and that's a very good question, and it's something that has definitely come up with what we do. So, like I mentioned, we're in 34 states, which means we're also in states where this is very prevalent in that sense. The northern region, right? And we offer our products and services there. We've had to review our method and methodology both in access and in product development, right? So it's we're not limited by religion. I just wanted to mention that we're here. Our mission is to support women, and whether it's from the Muslim community, the Islamic community, or from any other, we're here to support you as a female entrepreneur, an economically active woman or person. So we're taking some steps we've already taken some steps. We're working in those communities, but we can and we will deepen our work with some specific product development, or in the features of the products that we currently have to meet the needs of people in that community. So I do understand what you said. We're already taking some steps, and more would be taken as well. So thanks for that comment.
Oh, thank you, Leja Meka. Let's move into capacity building and mentorship. Beyond financing, what programs do you think LAPO is offering to support women in building business skills and leadership capabilities?
Great. Number one is the SUFEN program that I just mentioned. The fact that this is a full-fledged program and that would run in cohorts for women to provide programs in terms of digital literacy programs, financial literacy programs, consultation, building structures, access to other types of funding and finance as well. So that's a community that we're strengthening right now to provide a lot of more support beyond just loans and savings products. But in the time past, what we've done in collaboration with other institutions, like I mentioned, say DBN, for example, the NGOs, the LAPO NGO, because that also exists, and other, organizations, is to send our women, our female customers, to those kind of trainings and sensitization programs in time past, and we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to do that as we go on as well. So SUFEN is really the way to go for us. We're going to partner with facilitators, with other institutions, subject matter experts to support these women grow their businesses, achieve scale, and then also be sustainable, last even generations. So, and there's a lot with that. There's a lot that comes with that. So we're very excited for the first cohort of that program that will begin next month. So that should and will provide more support for women.
Thank you. How does LAPO mentorships and support network contribute to the success of women-led businesses?
It's huge. So in terms of mentorship, or I would say more on sensitization, right? We train, like I've mentioned, women groups, schools. We have, our SME Connect, which is a webinar program to provide, those insights for businesses and also personal financial management programs. All of those support definitely would help women in business to put in the right structures, to think about growing and scaling, to think about beyond just owning this business 100%. Can I partner to grow? Those conversations definitely help. In terms of mentorship, I guess from the SUFEN program, we can deepen that even more, where we connect, women in that community to mentors as well. So that's a more current and future program in mind for LAPO to engage in.
Thank you. Let's talk about women, I mean, younger women, actually, because there's a little bit of concern for them. Are there specific programs in place that has been designed to encourage women to embrace, younger women now, to embrace entrepreneurship and financial independence?
Yes. So one of our CSR program is skills acquisition, and in that's majorly for the youths, 18 to I think 35. We're going, in different states. We're in 8 states already where we support young ladies acquire skills, vocation, and also even digital skills as well. And the idea of that is beyond just going to work for someone, is that from those skills you can set up your own business, and then you can start to run. So that is a big program that we've trained over 2,000 students in that sense, in different vocations in these 8 states. And we're going to deepen that as well. We're looking at partnerships that will help us do that across other states. Currently, we're working with Edo State government in their job program. We're working with, is it NDE as well? So we've already started those engagements and we'll deepen that in the years to come.
That's all right. You're gonna deepen that in the years to come. Lapo, we're waiting on you. We're watching.
Yeah.
Let's go into community impact and partnerships. How does LAPO collaborate with other stakeholders such as NGOs, government agencies, international partners to accelerate financial inclusion for women?
Yeah, so collaboration partnership is a big deal for us. Over the years, there are many that we've worked with. And I just mentioned a few. For example, we have worked with EFINA, who is very big on financial inclusion, providing data and insight, and also supporting financial institutions build, products and services. And we worked with EFINA to scale our agency banking network. We got some grants and worked with them on that. We're working with DBN, who is able to provide, cheaper sources of funding for us, and then to also unlend to women entrepreneurs, well, men and women, but a large focus on women. We've worked with, WSBI, who is the World Savings and Retail Banking Institute, to develop the innovative savings product I talked about, my Pekin and I. We've worked with microinsurance institutions to provide insurance on our loans and also for the businesses of our customers. We've worked with, like I mentioned, Edo Jobs, for example, in terms of the skills acquisition and graduate training program. We've worked with even Wevo. And I'm mentioning their names. I know it's not a paid sponsorship, but anyways, we've worked with Wevo, who is a community of women who are even the vulnerable amongst the vulnerable. So what I mean by that, Wevo supports widows, the community of widows, of single mothers, of female breadwinners, and we've worked with them to also support their women in terms of access to finance for their economic activities. So we have collaborated deeply with institutions, whether they're private, government, local, international, to provide all of these products and services and even the trainings that we do. We work with an institute, although it's Lapo Institute, but we work with them to provide trainings. We work with the NGO to provide, health check services where they go into communities, into those groups, and they conduct, BP tests and a couple of other things. Even when we had the cancer program by the NGO, our women, those screening services were provided to our women in clusters, and then linkages to health centers, for more service was done. So it's a part of us. We don't do this alone. We can't even do it alone. And so we leverage highly on partnerships with various institutions to deepen access and just provide value to our customers.
Interesting. Let me ask you, what role do local communities play in ensuring that the success of LAPO's women empowerment initiatives? What I'm asking is, what role do local communities play in ensuring the success of your women-led initiatives?
Right. A big part of our initiatives are actually credit, right? I mean, you could say it was a microcredit institution when it started before it became a micro finance institution providing other financial services. So, specific to credit, the support we get from local communities, even the leadership of those communities, excuse me, is some type of advocacy and support with loan recovery. I mean, there are times where we've had issues with new repayments in some communities, and the leaders of those communities step up to ensure that the right thing is done. When there are issues, they support us to ensure the right thing is done because of the impact that we've made on their people. So we have that usually when it comes to repayment. And then various initiatives that would also occur, even for our CSRO conversations, for example, with our tree planting move. We're working with local communities as well to, plant trees in partnership with IITA. I mean, so those are a few ways that we've had those kind of supports from local communities.
It's good to know that you work with local communities. Let me ask you, are there upcoming projects or partnership aimed at enhancing Lapo's women impact on women's financial inclusion?
Should we spill the beans? Well, yes, there are. But of course, as we go, those will be launched. But one of the steps we took recently, just in January, was to actually set up a financial inclusion desk in Lapo. I know we're women focused, we're an institution that provides financial products and services for the underserved, but we needed an organ that will keep us grounded to our vision and our mission, an organ that would lay more focus on access to women. So we set up a financial inclusion desk, and that desk will churn out a lot of products, a lot of projects that will speak to the women demographics, that would provide more value. For example, the SUFEN program on initiative came out of that desk just recently in terms of the revamp that was done. So yes, there are products that would come up. The mandate for that team is also to drive partnerships, to tell our stories a bit more as well. We have a lot of impact across, but we want to be able to also tell our stories a bit more to attract as well players that this is a big deal for, and that can also support us in what we do in terms of deepening access. So that team will definitely churn out a lot of products in this light. And for our digital transformation as well, digital products will come up specific for the youth segment. So we're also very big on the youth segment, churning out in a mobile app that is really just targeted at that segment as well is important.
Interesting. Let's go to talk about your future outlook and call to action. Um, in strategy, what are Lapo's strategic goals for expanding women's access to financial services in the coming years?
Great. From the SUFEN initiative, the goal is to support as much as 500,000 women in the next 3 years. And like I mentioned, that support is not just lending; it's empowerment programs, advisory services, structure, and a couple of other things. So we want to work closely, kind of mentor, coach over 500,000 women in the next 3 years. It's an ambitious goal because it's not just giving a loan. You're going, into supporting them. You're going into providing, doing even research for them, providing insights, and also helping them, right? So that's a goal, and we're going to do that more with the community. Like I mentioned, we're going to look at product review and redesign. We're going to work with partners. We're also going to leverage, technology as well to, meet that need, that specific goal in terms of, supporting female entrepreneurs. So that's one big one. Other aspects really are, how we position the Lapo brand to provide financial products and services, not just to other segments, right? We say that there seems to be a missing middle, where you're having those at the bottom, being served, and those the high end, they're being served by other financial players. There's a middle, right? And so we also want to be able to reach out to that middle to provide beyond just lending, other, innovative products, even deep in insurance. Insurance is such an important aspect of, building financial stability. Right. So we also want to help in deepening insurance, even in the economy, in the market. There are steps that we're taking as an institution to achieve all of those goals going forward.
Thank you. So many goals, so many things I see you doing at Lapo, and congratulations to everyone in Lapo.
Thank
Um,
you.
What message or messages would you like to share with women striving to achieve financial independence and entrepreneurs seeking growth and opportunities?
Yeah, there's a lot to say about that, but I think I could summarize my thoughts in 4 points. The key one is what you said, striving. It's a continuous journey. It needs resilience. You need to continue to strive towards it. But what are you striving towards? What is the bigger picture? Beyond just attaining financial independence, what is that supposed to help you do? So I think the first thing would be to think about the big picture of attaining financial independence. What problems do you want to solve, and let that be your driving force. Let that be what helps you to overcome challenges that you will face in this journey, in this process, whether they are systemic issues or not, or whether they are just business challenges, or whether they are challenges that just come from having a business or operating a business in Nigeria. There are specific issues around that, but the focus is the drive. And so I'd like that you look at what is the big picture for me attaining financial freedom and independence. Number two would be to get knowledge. A lot of the things that we do not do most times is because we don't know how to, we don't know what to do. So get knowledge, and that could come from communities, being in communities. That could come from investing in training programs, virtual, physical programs, but investing in self development. That's also important. Get knowledge, get insight on what you need to do to attain financial independence. The skills, the techniques, it's important. So you're not just operating from a place of ignorance and thinking, okay, everyone is against you, right? So get knowledge, build yourself up, and deliver excellently. A third one would be to ignore the noise, right? I'm a big advocate for women, for gender equality, equity, actually. Um, but I know that to a large extent, it may become a limiting barrier. As a mindset. You just feel like, okay, because I'm a woman, I'm limited. Ignore the noise and go for what you want, right? You want it, go for it. And if that, causes issues, if that shakes tables, and in some cases the Senate, it's fine. You're making your mark, and you're making impact not just for yourself but for generations to come. So go for what you want. Ignore the noise about the gender issues and the systemic problems. Go for what you want and build resilience. And then the last one will be to not let fear stop you. Fear is big. I think it should point you in the right direction than limit you. There's the fear of, am I going to succeed in this? There's the fear of, do I really want all the hassle that comes with scaling your business? And there are challenges, but don't let fear stop you. You want something, go for it. Achieve your goals, and just keep going, keep striving until you get to your destination. And I say that financial independence is not the end, right? It's a journey. On that journey, there would be issues, but don't let fear stop you. Take those bold steps. I'm usually worried that when you look at male and female entrepreneurs, the men are very bullish and ambitious, and they want to start a business, in one location, and they're thinking about the next location in another state, in another country. But women, you find us, very hesitant to a large extent, and that's speaks to our risk appetite. So don't let fear stop you. Take some risks, right? Calculated risks, of course, but take some risks. In there lies huge growth and opportunities.
Thank you very much, Dorcas, for having coming on this program today. But International Women's Day. Thank you, Lapo, for supporting women. But I'm going to stress you a little bit. Pardon me to do that. I'd like you to do the let's celebrate action sign and let people see that Lapo, you're celebrating
Okay.
action. Good. There we go. Let's celebrate. Let's ask
Celebrate action. Yeah.
action. Yeah, it's been a very insightful edition today, talking about breaking barriers with microfinance solutions for women empowerment. We've gone through quite a lot with what Lapo is doing in that field, and it's been insightful. Thank you, our viewers, fintech enthusiasts, financial inclusion enthusiasts, for sending your questions, for sending your emoji. Quite a number of people I can see here. We appreciate you and we acknowledge your comments and your messages to this program. Well, we would like to continue, but unfortunately, time is always our friend. You know, we need to call it off today. It's been wonderful having you, Dorcas. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thank you for the good job you're doing at Lapo Microfinance Bank. Um, we having you today. Definitely, we're still going to have you and talk more about Lapo and see what Lapo is doing. We're still going to share the videos from Lapo, the impact of Lapo. As soon as we get off our live station, we're going to share it. And for all our enthusiasts, all our subscribers, and all our lovers to see what Lapo is doing. Thank you very much. And please extend our warm greetings to the founder of Lapo, Godwin, Dr. Godwin. That's what I call him. Say hello, and we wish Lapo well in the coming years. And you said we should watch out for Lapo. Lapo,
Yeah.
watching out for you. Thank you. It's nice having you.
Thank you so much for having me and a great conversation. And I'm always available to support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Till another edition, which is going to come up tomorrow. I remain your host, Olumayowa Ajetumobi. Have a blessed day.